A special package. A young teenager named Yaakov stood on the doorstep of the famous Lomzi Yeshiva. Both of his parents passed away, and at the age of 14, Yaakov was all alone. Nervously, he opened the large doors, hoping that someone would notice him and invite him to stay and learn. When Yaakov entered the yeshiva, he was greeted warmly. After hearing Yaakov's story, the Rebbeim agreed to accept him even though he was younger than the other Bochim. The yeshiva will be your new home, they told him. Yaakov was so relieved. Yaakov stayed in the Lomzi Yeshiva for a number of years. That's where he ate, slept, and spent many hours each day learning Torah. Since he was a few years younger than the others, Yaakov was not on the same level of learning as they were. The Gemara was difficult for him, and he had to work extra hard to understand it. The Bochum in the yeshiva treated him kindly and did their best to help him. Mail Day was the Bochum's favorite day of the week. In those days, mail did not come every day as it does nowadays. It came only once a week. Excitement filled the air when the postman arrived. Each Bochur hurried to find him, hoping to receive a precious package from home. Week after week, Yaakov would watch from a distance as the other boys joyfully opened the packages. Some boys received cookies that their mothers had lovingly baked. Others received extra blankets to keep them warm in the cold Polish winter. Still others received money to buy things that they needed. For many, it was the letters that they looked forward to most. They waited anxiously to hear news from home about a baby sister who got her first tooth, a little brother who took his first step, or the family's preparations for an upcoming simcha. While Mail Day was the happiest day of the week for everyone else in the yeshiva, it was the saddest day of the week for Yaakov. It reminded him that he had no one to send him a package. One week, as he stood on the side, watching his friends to receive their packages, Yaakov couldn't bear the pain any longer. He felt so sad and lonely that tears began to form in the corners of his eyes. Yaakov quickly ran to his room so that no one would see him cry. It was only when he was safely inside that he allowed his tears to flow. Sitting on his bed, he cried as he thought about his father and mother, whom he would never see again. He cried as he realized that there was no one who cared enough about him to send him even one small package. Suddenly, Yaakov's face brightened. He had an idea. Even though I can't ask my parents to send me a package, he thought, I can ask Hashem to send me one. Yaakov stood up and slowly walked to the window. Looking towards the sky, he whispered, Please Hashem, I want a package too. As tears rolled down his cheeks, Yaakov continued, But Hashem, I don't need packages with blankets, money or letters. I want a totally different type of package. I want packages of siyata dishmaya, of help from you, my Father in heaven. I need help so that I can understand your Torah better and become a big Talmid Chacham. When Yaakov finished speaking, he felt much better. After wiping away his tears, he walked back into the Beis Medrash. Then he sat down, opened his Gemara, and began to learn. To his surprise, Yaakov found that the learning had become much easier for him. Amazingly, it wasn't so difficult for him when he tried to understand the Gemara. Yaakov was sure that he knew the reason why. It was because Hashem had answered his tefillah. Finally, Yaakov had received a package of his very own. From that day on, Mail Day was not a sad day for him anymore. As his friends waited online for their packages, Yaakov headed to the Beis Medrash. Smiling to himself, he thought about that special day when he began to receive the best package of all, Siyata Dishmaya, to help him learn the Heilige Torah. Dear Kinderlich, the Heilige Rebbe, in his Sefer Shivrei Haran, in Ois Ches, writes the following: he says that when he started to learn Torah, it was very, very hard for him. Because he would learn Mishnayos, but he wouldn't understand anything. He would learn and learn, but would not understand the words of the Heilige Mishnah. So he would cry and daven a lot to Hashem, that Hashem should open up his eyes to understand the Heilige Mishnayos. And he would cry and cry until he was zoiche to learn Mishnayos. And then he would go on and started another Sefer. He would go and start a Gemara. And the same thing happened. It was very hard for him to understand. He would not understand even the Posh, the Pshat, even just the Taich he wouldn't understand. And it was very, very hard for him. But he kept on learning Torah, saying the words, even without understanding, and davening that he should understand it, that he should have a geschmack in Torah. And he did not let the lack of understanding deter him from opening a Sefer, saying the holy words, and continue to learn Torah. He was mechazik himself through his learning, and through his tefillah and his crying, and Baruch Hashem, he was zoiche that the whole Torah was revealed to him. So too kinderlich, we're holding now before the Heilige Yontif of Shavuos. We should learn from the Rebbe, or we should learn from Yaakov, from our story, to never give up, and to keep on learning Torah, even if we don't understand it. Just say even the heilige words of the Torah, and at the same time daven and cry to Hashem that He should open our eyes and He should open our hearts to understand His heilige Torah.
Abaye veruve,